Attention pour l'arrivée de Primonial. Top arrivée de Primonial.
On Monday, the 22nd of November at 9 p.m, Sébastien Rogue and Mathieu Soubin crossed the finish line of the 15th edition of the Transat Jacques Vabre in first place in the Ocean 50 class. Primonial had taken 15 days, 13 hours, 27 minutes and 14 seconds and covered 6,536.56 miles at an average speed of 17.5 knots. The winning skippers were overjoyed.
Very nice victory, nice sailing. There was a very clever weather move in the Canaries where they shifted to the west, and that eventually gave them the lead. But taking the lead is one thing, keeping it is another. They sailed magnificently. We really gave it our all and didn't hold anything back. We gave everything we had, and it paid off, more than paid off. Spending 15 days on the boat with Matt was great.
Over the next 4 hours through the Martinique night, Coesio and Leighton completed the podium.
We didn't give up. We shook up this race and got people talking. We played our part, so it was really cool.
Third place isn't bad, and it was a great Transat. We got off on a bad foot probably the first 12 hours, and we kind of dragged that deficit through the rest of the race. But really happy to come back to third and gain some places going through the doldrums and get back onto the podium. And now we're tidling forward to some sleep.
For the Ultimes, the final sprint was just as breathtaking. Maxi Edmond de Rothschild was slowed right down in a windless zone off Barbados. The others closed in. But just in time, the breeze returned and she crossed the finish line on Tuesday 23rd.
Attention pour l'arrivée de Edmond de Rothschild, premier de la catégorie Ultime. Top arrivée de Edmond de Rothschild, numéro 17. Bravo.
Frank Camas and Charles Caudrelier took 16 days, 1 hour, 49 minutes and 16 seconds to cover 9,262.13 miles, averaging 24.01 knots. The pair were race leaders for 98% of the time.
Logic won it. They were favorites, and once they had the lead, their perfect knowledge of the boat, perfect teamwork won through. Franck and Charles ticked all the boxes. This will be remembered as a great race. It was the longest Jacques Vabre I've ever done. Same for Charles, 7,500 miles. It's a very long race. So we are delighted to have arrived with a boat that's 100%, and above all, in front.
Behind them, the next few hours were intense, and SVR Lazati did not give up, managing to steal second place from Banque Populaire on the last few tacks.
There's a great winner up front, and behind us they also fought hard. What happened in the last 48 hours with Banque Pop was just great. We had a blast, and we are super happy.
Et on est super content. La deuxième place, c'est quasiment une victoire pour François Gamard et Tom Laperche. On aurait bien aimé garder cette deuxième place.
We would have liked to hold on to second place, which was ours for much of the race.
Mais au final, il y a beaucoup de...
But in the end, there are a lot of positives to come from this.
De positifs, voilà, tout simplement.
I'm on the podium with Kevin, with a boat that is in good shape, so all good.
Bien en forme aussi, donc tant mieux.
T'as repris du gras, toi, à part se mettre au vélo. Merci beaucoup.
While the pontoons were filling up with multi-hulls, the monohulls were still racing. In the stifling heat, the IMOCA boats continued their close racing up the coast of South America. The trade winds, though, were not stable and restricted the sailors' strategy options as they followed the course along the no-go area off Brazil. At the front, Thomas Rouillard and Morgan Legravier found some extra acceleration thanks to their good downwind speed. It made all the difference. Linked Out was more than 150 miles ahead of Charlie Dalin and Paul Mayat-Sapivia, who were definitely off the pace in these conditions. Charal sat third. The ranking seemed to have been frozen.
There's a little less than 2 days to the finish, scheduled for the morning of the 25th. You can see the trade winds are a little weak and erratic. They vary between 10 and 14 knots. It's not huge, but we should find a little more pressure this evening up to the finish.
More than 400 miles behind, still struggling with the residue of the doldrums, Arkea Paprec and Initiative Kerr were racing close up.
How many days of racing left? That's the big question. You'd expect 3 days of racing from here? So the challenge now is to stay ahead of the boats behind us. And if we manage to upset Arkea, who's just ahead, that would be good. But I don't think they're going to let us do that.
Even further back, Coram made a superb comeback and showed great downwind qualities to catch 11th Hour Racing's Malama. Co-skippers Charlie Enright of the USA and Pascal Bidegori of France had lost places as they struggled with the damaged keel. Thursday, 25th of November, after 18 days at sea, Thomas Rouillard and Morgan Legravier crossed the line to take the IMOCA title after nearly 6,700 miles at an average of 15 knots.
There's a time for everyone, I would say. There's a time when it has to come, and here it has come for Linked Out and Thomas, and it's great, because it deserves it.
Linked Out, 3 longueurs.
Bravo les gars!
Arrivée de Linked Out, vainqueur de la Transat Jacques Vabre en IMOCA.
Je sais pas si c'est la plus belle.
I don't know if it's the best race because I've done 4 Transat with different teams, but it's certainly one of the best because it's shared.
Il est aussi partagé parce qu'elle est construite.
Because there's a whole team behind it.
Parce qu'il y a toute une équipe derrière.
And that's what drives me and what makes me happy. It's all the sharing that we're going to manage to create around this victory. That's why we're doing it.
Voilà, c'est pour ça qu'on le fait.
And all that good stuff starts now.
Le bonheur démarre maintenant, quoi. Aussi.
In the early hours of Friday morning, it was Apivia's turn to approach Diamond Rock. Charlie Dalin and Paul Meyer finished second, 20 hours behind the winner.
Il a manqué peut-être 2-3.
We lacked 2 or 3 small ingredients, a touch of success and a touch of speed in certain conditions, but I'm very happy with this second place.
Cette deuxième place, pardon.
Charal crossed the line the following night to complete the podium for the 60-foot monohulls.
Même si à chaque fois qu'on prend un départ,
we always race to win, but you have to be satisfied with the podium, especially when you have great winners like Thomas and Morgan, who did a great job, both in terms of strategy and speed. We tried to optimize what we had as much as possible. We didn't make any mistakes, but they were better than us. So, big congratulations to them.
Un grand bravo à eux.
For the Class 40s, the race had been long, with unusually light winds and unseasonal weather patterns. On the approach to the West Indies, the seaweed added to the problems.
We are into the last 3 days and the sargassum is everywhere. It gets caught in the keel, in the rudders. It's just hell. So what's the solution? The seaweed cane to remove it from the rudders. Proof it works? A clear wake. We are bogged down in sargassum. You know what I mean?
The race is much longer than expected. Tiredness is growing, and the heat is becoming a real problem.
So Massa is saying, if you want to become cooler, you have to steer.
In the closing stages of the race, Redmond continued to dominate. Behind her, the tightly bunched pack had grown to 10. Antoine Carpentier was under pressure.
With Pablo, sunrise with a big cloud over there. We hope it's not going to bother us too much, but it's already the case as the wind just dropped. So the gaps will get smaller to add a little bit of stress, as if we didn't have enough of it.
On Monday, 29th of November, Antoine Carpentier and Pablo Santurce del Arco won the Class 40 Transat Jacques Vabre in 21 days, 22 hours, covering 5,500 miles at an average speed of 10 knots.
I want to cry with relief. With Pablo, we gave it our all. We were the best.
For Carpentier, it's a third consecutive victory in 2 different boat classes.
I have always said a good victory requires effort, and we were under pressure all the way to the end. We could see the Swiss were coming back at us with the wind building behind them. We worried how much that wind would grow. It's great when you fight like that. That's what we like. So we're very happy to finish first. It was tough, but that's what we like.
Second place went to Banque du Le Mans. After 22 days of racing, the Swiss pair of Valentin Gauthier and Simon Costa were just 1 hour and 4 minutes behind the winners.
No, not disappointed at all. We would have taken this before the start. It's a close fleet with many well-trained and well-prepared sailors. We are very happy to be here in this position.
It was third for Cédric Chateau and Jérémy Millon, who made the podium after a great final week comeback.
We never expected to make the podium at our first attempt. To have even made the top 10 would have been incredible, but when we found ourselves there, we just kept going. It was a huge blow when our spinnaker ripped, but we kept pushing, gave it our all, and we've done it.
C'est un super cru.
It's what we'd hoped for at the start,
Dans le bassin.
and the race has delivered.
On voyait bien la bagarre à venir vu la qualité.
The 2021 edition has turned out to be a vintage Jacques Vabre race.
Donc c'est vraiment un très beau cru Jacques Vabre 2021. Ouais.
Despite the unusual weather for the season, the race lived up to its promise of intensity and high-performance racing. See you again in 2023 for the next Transat Jacques Vabre race.